Welcome everyone. Hope everyone is doing amazing. You'll see a few people up front here. Just maybe just introduce some of the leadership team that's here. Obviously, I'm Glenn Sanford. I'm the founder of eXp. Also have Felix Bravo here, and I think Katie Mazurkowitz. I think you're here as well. Who else is here from the international leadership team?
I see Justin Dobbs,
Okay,
head of people and culture team.
all right. It is
Sarah Hutchinson.
okay. Well, hey, thanks everyone for jumping in. This we're going to be going through a little bit of the EXP explained for international. This is the first time that we've done this as a presentation to anyone who's here. This goes back actually kind of to the early days of EXP, back in 2009, 2010, 2011. Well, actually, for a number of years, we were doing regular eXp explains in World, and this is how we built eXp, was by inviting people in, jumping into conversations, and then working together as one team, growing eXp together. And so this is kind of the first, uh, I guess, first iteration of building that muscle memory for eXp on the international side. Obviously, this presentation today will be in English, but as we uh, get the muscle memory around this, the idea is that there would be eXp explains going on around the world in language for each country, and they would be taking place regularly. And in fact, one of our goals is to ultimately have the ability to drop in, uh, bring in your prospects, get on-demand eXp explains, and then have eXp explains going on throughout the day that you can bring your prospects to. And then from there, we want to be able to jump into ad hoc conversations that support you in growing your business around the world. So that's the idea. And again, we've got myself on the growth side, international. We've got Felix Bravo, but I noticed that we have a number of country leaders in the room that are here as well. And what we want to do is just start to build a top of the funnel for those of you who are interested in growing your business with eXp internationally. My guess is today, and I'll look a little bit to the room. My guess is today that we have more people that are with eXp in the room than we do folks that are not. Now, a lot of people have guests and as their name, and maybe you are guests learning about eXp. But what we want to do is we want to build as one large team working together to grow eXp across the globe. And this means everything from just getting engaged in your local markets to ultimately helping us actually add new countries and forming core groups. So this is, again, just our first meeting. So let me kind of jump in. I'll talk a little bit about my history in just a minute, but we are building the most agent-centric real estate brokerage on the planet. 2009, we launched as a real estate brokerage, as a cloud-based residential real estate brokerage to answer the single biggest need that I saw, which was that there was no way to get off the hamster wheel of real estate. And since then, we've grown to over 85,000 agents and 24 countries, which includes the US and Canada. Obviously, you see we're in our metaverse here, so thank you for joining us here. We provide a comprehensive set of tools and technologies for agents to be able to go out and list and sell properties in their local markets, and we're continuing to iterate on that to continue to bring in the best tools and technologies, and also to leverage what we've built in terms of the largest network of like-minded professionals around the world. We've got tons of training going on, as you probably know. If you're a guest and you want to attend some of those in World or some of the other places that we're doing it, definitely connect with the country leaders or with us here in the international. By the way, at the end of this meeting, we're going to invite anybody who's interested in just visiting our international office, our headquarters. We'll invite you to just come in and then grab any of us to just for any ad hoc conversation. So we'll start some conversations here. We want to make sure that you know that you can come into exp.world/international. So pretty excited about that. So 24 countries and growing. Cool little map here that kind of shows you what's some of the countries that we're in and when we open those up. Um, and we've got this really amazing network of agents and brokers. We just got off of eXpCon. What was that, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago? It wasn't. It was not long ago, but we brought in agents, brokers, country leaders, AACs, which are agent advisory councils, and people from around the world came to Miami, Florida. We'll be doing that as well. So a very diverse group. Um, a little of my history. Some of you, well, I'm sure most of you know, especially if you're with eXp, but I'll give you a little bit about my background. I got my real estate license in 2002. I came out of internet technology. I had founded a number of companies. The last one prior to real estate was a company called eshippers.com, and we created it during the dot-com collapse. So I lovingly refer to myself as a dot bomber from there. And while I was licking my wounds from that experience, I, uh, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. So I ended up doing websites and community portals and a bunch of stuff. And one of the people that I connected with was a local real estate professional. And I thought I could help him build his business. He agreed, so much so that he basically insisted that I get my real estate license. So I got my license in April 2002 and built a personal career that was pretty substantial pretty quickly. Sold 17 properties to clients that I met online from April 29th of 2002 to the end of the year. 2003, top buyer's agent. Did at the time what was a fair lot of production for an individual agent in our market. Did about 7.3 million in production, and then I started a team in 2004, and Keller Williams was the place to build a team at that point in time. And so I started a team, and then I was a bit of a glutton for punishment. I ended up starting 5 teams within 1 year, and my second or my fourth full year in the real estate industry, I was number 50 nationally with Keller Williams, and I think at the time they had about 43,000 agents. But we were on track. In we left in 2007. We ended up doing fair bit more production in 2007, about 73 million production. We were on track to do 100 million in production in 2008, and then the market turned. At that point, I was running a teamerage, and some of you might not recognize that name, but a teamerage is very similar to how most real estate offices are set up around the world. They're small boutique offices with a branch manager who, to a large extent, generates most of the listings. And then you've got a number of sub-agents that help with showings and other things. In our case, we were doing internet lead gen for buyers, which is totally different than generally anywhere else in the world. But we had built this very successful business based on sort of search engine optimization and generating a lot of inbound leads. Anyway, 2008 happened. We had to close down 3 of our physical offices. We had 4 offices, and then we had to go back to the drawing board to figure out what we wanted to do going into 2009. And what I recognized very quickly was that um, the uh, the internet speeds had finally got pretty ubiquitous across the world. And what I mean by that is that you could have high-speed internet in your home. The phones weren't bad. Nowadays, we would never accept 3G, but 3G was the speed, and it wasn't bad. And we said, well, why do we need physical offices? In the future, we're not going to need offices. And if we don't have offices, then what would the model need to look like for me as a successful real estate agent to want to be part of an organization? And so we went about from February through about June, July of 2009, um, ideating and coming up with what ultimately became the eXp business model. Up until then, everybody was a franchise. So you could think about the idea that, a lot of people say, well, you're like Keller Williams. Well, we're not. We're one company operating in 24 countries. We don't sell franchises. We build the most agent-centric brokerage on the planet based on the fact that we work totally different than anyone else in the history of real estate. And anyway, long and short of it is that we started with 25 agents. We built a very unique revenue share plan and an equity plan that we launched in 2014, and it's really fundamentally changed the industry. Today, you cannot start a real estate brokerage without copying the the foundational elements of eXp and how we disrupted the industry. You can't start a brokerage today and expect to scale if you're not adopting those frameworks. Um, Felix, do you want to maybe just do a little intro on yourself?
Yeah, happy to. Hard to follow up Glenn's intro and his background, but I always I make the joke that I started in real estate at a really young age. I immigrated from Venezuela to the United States, and at the time, you could not get the real estate license test done in Spanish. And my mom was a lawyer in Venezuela who was looking for a second career here in the U.S., and she chose real estate. And I spoke English and she didn't, so I had to sit down with her for a couple months and kind of go through the flashcards and help her pass the real estate test. So I spent a couple months teaching her how to, and therefore learning how to also pass the real estate course in Florida. So I think by the age of like 10, I was able to, I probably could have passed the test all right. But I eventually got into real estate right out of high school, working directly for new developments and developers. I worked here in Miami, and I'll keep it brief, but we worked mostly in luxury boutique pre-construction projects. I oversaw about 5 different projects and had a team of 12 where we had close to, I think, maybe $350 million in inventory that we oversaw between 2014 and 2019. And then what I found was I was on a bit of a different type of hamster wheel where I was always stuck with whatever the developer's inventory that they had and always trying to get that next development. And I wanted to build a business for myself that I could scale and grow, and that would eventually take me out of that. So I decided to start my own team. And instead of working directly for a developer, I was going to try to sell the new developments from the other side and bring in the buyers. About 60 to 70% of all of my clientele were international. So I actually spent quite a bit of time traveling to Brazil and Colombia and Mexico, Canada, and different markets where we were pitching these developments. And I scaled the team up to about 30 agents during COVID through a different virtual brokerage. And I did it with a partner of mine. And what we found was it was really, really hard to find the support at scale to support that many agents for us personally. Especially when it was throughout different cities in Florida. So we did it throughout all the 10 major markets here in Florida. And we became stuck in a different hamster wheel where we were, spending our Sunday nights at 11 p.m. trying to help our agents with their contracts and agreements. And the more we scaled and the more agents we brought on board, the harder our business got and the harder it was for us to actually grow our team. And so around that time, I took up a position with a company called Side, where I was helping them expand into different markets, Florida, Texas, Georgia, and we started opening up into different states. And I really started looking for an option for myself and for our team of how could we scale at large, nationally and internationally, and provide the value that we had. We knew how to teach agents how to get into production. We had lead generation tools. We knew this expertise and niche in new construction. But we just didn't have the back end support or the platform to do it. And then I met a wonderful person named Elizabeth Riley, who introduced me to her business. She's one of our icon agents, I think 9 years in a row now, over in Texas. And I was blown away with what she had been able to accomplish at eXp. And so I decided to make the jump with some of the members of my group to come to eXp. And I originally just came in to be an agent and to help scale and grow my business. And through that, I met Leo Pareja, our CEO, and Glenn and some of the other members of the leadership team. And there was a position for me to work, an opportunity for me to help in Florida as the director of growth and helping them scale. I had an expertise in bringing on large brokerages and teams. And so I really put that to work in Florida, where we have an amazing team over there. And we scaled up quite a bit. And then in a short period of time, I think 6-7 months later, there was an opportunity for me to jump into international and work and help us scale and get into new markets. And now we're here. And in a short period of time, Glenn, since you've been here 4 months, I think I've been to 7 or 8 different countries, done eXp International, eXp Miami. We're launching. We announced 3 new markets, 3 new countries. We're working on other countries as well. So it's been busy. So it's been good. But that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. Well, we've got obviously, if we just spent time introducing all the leadership team, we would spend the whole hour here or more. But let's kind of jump in. The reality, and I touched a little bit about this earlier. The reality is that if you're an active real estate professional anywhere in the world, you were probably sold on the idea that you have a real estate business, and you quickly figured out that the business had you. And basically what that means is that if you weren't out there listing and selling real estate, then then you ultimately were at the mercy of what happens next to you as an individual. And so I was mentored for a number of years by a number of very successful business people, my father included, and what I learned is that the purpose of the business, ultimately was to help, create long-term wealth and retirement. And what was missing inside of real estate is that unless you went in places like Australia and got large rent rolls, or you went and bought your own rental properties, and which is an entirely different skill set from sales, or you figured out ways to invest, you really had no safety net in real estate. And a very small fraction of the industry actually has the skills to do that, or doesn't have the time to do that. And so at the end of the day, real estate is a high turnover industry. About 80% of agents, I think worldwide, turn over about every 5 years, which means as a profession, it doesn't have a lot of longevity. And part of that's because there's no way to actually get off of the sort of the hamster wheel of real estate. So for me, I recognize that, as an agent, I thought about the career path, go from agent, and then I said, oh, I need to be a real estate team. And then I realized the real estate team doesn't fundamentally run without me. So then it was, well, I need to start a brokerage. And then I figured out that if there's a reason why they call broker owners is because they tend to be broker as owners than they were as real estate agents. But there is some additional security that comes with being a broker owner. But when I really looked at it, they really missed the mark on recognizing that there are 20 million real estate professionals around the world that fundamentally don't have this retirement type of scenario. So what we wanted to do was build a platform where agents could come in, have all the tools, the technologies, relationships, go and do the business that they do, but also give them an opportunity to help us grow the brokerage. And through growing the brokerage, they could earn the benefits that a broker owner aspires to in growing a brokerage without the headaches and all of that. So that's really the idea. Obviously, one of our tag phrases is where the pros go to grow. And what we've found is because our model is so unique, we are attracting the best of the best around the world to join eXp. We are also the fastest growing real estate brokerage in the world. Now there are some companies you'll hear, well, they're growing faster than eXp did at a point in time, which is technically true. They're growing because we actually figured out how to do this. And but at our scale, we are still the fastest growing real estate brokerage on the planet. So a lot of really cool stuff has come out of that. We are the first 100% cloud-based platform in the industry. Um, and what that basically means is that we have no physical offices for any of the corporate side of the business. And I'm working home office. Felix is working, I suspect, home office, but we've got 2,500 staff around the world that are effectively working 100% remote, but 100% connected through all of our collaborative technologies. One of the things I call it well, two things. I call them business constraints, but I also call them forcing functions. But the best way to figure out how to do things is to sort of burn the boats. And for us, the boats that we were burning were the physical offices. And once we did that, then we said, okay, we're never going back to physical infrastructure. Then we started to build all of this collaborative infrastructure so we can be connected and together anywhere in the world at any time, and that's allowed us to really scale. Obviously, largest independent brokerage, um, you know, comprehensive tools and training, and so on and so forth. We have a very competitive commission split. Most brokerages around the world typically have something close to a 50-50 commission split with their agents. And part of that's because they operate more like teams than they do um, like agents in a traditional sense. Um, but what we've been able to do is build a model where, because of eXp's size and our infrastructure and our ability to open up new markets, we can actually put agents in a position where they can go from earning 75% of their commissions, and then we actually cap that. It's we have two caps. I'm not sure if it's on this deck or not, but we have a cap for what we refer to as the high income countries. And you can kind of figure out which ones those would be, but those have a $20,000 US cap. And then those in markets where we're a little bit less income, lower priced homes, et cetera, there's a 13,000 US cap. The monthly fees, which we'll touch on briefly, are all done in local currency. But because of our revenue share model, we're designing it in such a way that everybody around the world can easily understand how the revenue share works, no matter where they attract agents in any country around the world. So it makes it easier to figure out how this thing scales. In the early days, we actually were all over the map on where our caps were on our model. But one of the things you'll notice here is this thing called 100% plus. And what does that mean? It means that in eXp, even when you're technically on a 75 percent split with the company, because of the ability to earn revenue share and equity, you can actually be receiving more than your entire commission back um, on a monthly yearly basis when you add all the benefits. So we've got agents, and I don't want to go into numbers per se, but the reason why you're here is because you want to earn more income in this business called real estate. And so we share a percentage of the commissions when an agent is capping back through a very robust revenue share program. And we have agents around the world that are earning, you know, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100,000, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars per month in terms of these additional benefits that come from helping the company grow. And so you can, we have an income disclaimer if you ever want to take a look at it. It's at exprealty.com/income, but you can take a look at that if you want to see the disclaimer. But the reality is that we have in the most robust uh, uh, platform for income in the industry. One of the things, income's great, or the potential for income's great, but if you don't have good tools, then eXp doesn't make sense at all. So one of the things that we do is we're continually looking at what are the best CRMs in the local markets. And so we're actually in the process of making some changes to the CRM platforms in a number of countries based on agent feedback. You'll hear something called Net Promoter Score, where we're surveying agents on a very regular basis as to what's going on with their business, how can we do better for them, and what tools and technologies do they need access to. And then we use our buying power and our clout. And in some cases, we actually build the software ourselves because we can to actually allow agents to compete effectively. We connect with the in-country portals. We have some variable-based pricing around that because the portals outside the U.S. and Canada are the single biggest expense to advertising outside of North America. And we've got you'll see this thing called debit and credit system, but basically what this says is that um, uh, we uh, allow agents, and I don't want to use the word allow, but we empower agents to go and market properties on the various portals that exist in their country, and then just take the cost of that out of closings in the future. So you don't have to pay for it up front. In some cases you do, but for the core platforms, we've got a transaction system and a portal pricing system that allows you to take that out of closings. And so we've got a lot of marketing platforms. In fact, we've been working hard, Felix, myself, Natalie, and others inside the company, where we're building out additional marketing platforms for agents, which are pretty robust, and we're pretty excited to talk about that in future months and quarters. Um, Work from anywhere, pretty obvious, but I call it the 4 A's: work with anyone at any time on anything from anywhere. So the 4 A's of real estate, and that reduces your overhead costs. It allows you to have access to some great technology and global support. This is a really interesting one. So you'll see Home Hunter, and you can go to homehunter.global to check this out. But if you're in an international market, you are fundamentally at the mercy of the real estate portals in terms of marketing properties in your market. And the portals continue to raise their prices on the agents and the brokerages. And we, you know, for because we do have the ability to invest in technology, we're investing in a really interesting technology called Home Hunter Global. It's through a partnership, but we have the exclusive worldwide rights to this platform where you can actually work with your consumer. They can be given a tool where they can keep track of properties across all real estate sites. And there's usually 4 or 5 in any given country that they're wanting to keep track of properties on. And with that, we'll also give the ability to put your listings, put you and back in front of your consumer. One of the things that we think is true, and we'll be proving this out over time, is we believe that there is a market. It may not be large at the moment, but there is a market for more buyer representation in the market to help buyers actually buy. And by using a tool like Home Hunter, we can start to aggregate that demand to you as an agent, where you're not 100% dependent on the next listing. You can start to actually build a business that actually includes buyer-based traffic as well. And then you can also use the tool to go out and get more listings through the aggregation of buyers who are interested in particular types of properties. So if you've got a database or an active tool that keeps track of thousands and thousands of buyers, and you go out on a listing appointment and you can say, hey, in our database, we have 200 people that are currently looking in your in this neighborhood for a property that closely represents you. And when you list with us, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually put your property in front of those buyers. That's a pretty powerful tool, especially when it's exclusive to eXp. And so that's one of the benefits of the homehunter.global platform. We have tons of training that's going on. You could also think about even this eXp Explained as a bit of a training, but we've got uh, probably hundreds of hours per week now of training that you can attend, in some of it inside of eXp World, some of it in Google Meets, some of it in local, um, uh, uh, in real life in your local market, held by country leaders, agents there, etc. One of the cool things is that because of our incentive model, you're getting trained by the best of the best in the industry to support you in growing your business. And we've got incentives to take these, what we refer to as icons, and have them give their secrets to you, so you can go out and list and sell more property. And then if you think about the idea that being able to get the best across border, that's really powerful as well, because a lot of the things that are being done in other markets is different than is being done in your local market. And those different things may create the attention that would be necessary to go get that next listing or go represent that next buyer. So we got a lot of cool stuff that we do inside of eXp World. And again, this kind of goes back to why this is where the pros go to grow. Local compliance, local expertise, I'll just skip over that. This is obviously, you're inside the metaverse now. exp.world is an incredible a platform. We own it outright. We have the most enterprise-ready metaverse that currently exists on the market. We built it in-house. We invested and purchased a company back in 2018, and that company then developed and spun out the platform that you're in now, called exp.world. So we've invested millions of dollars to basically build the most enterprise-ready metaverse, which means to you that you can come into the international office, grab me, Felix, any of our international staff, but also in country. Every country has its own metaverse, which means that you don't have to go to an office. You don't have to sit on hold waiting for somebody to pick up the phone at, at an office in a physical sense. You can actually come in as if you were in a physical office and have conversations with managing brokers, with support staff, with marketing staff, with other leadership, etc. And you can do it on your desktop, your laptop, your phone, your tablet, etc. So it's pretty cool to be able to know that we pioneered how do you build a collaborative community online. We're also moving next year in 2025. We're moving to Discord. And right now, Discord is being used for so much stuff. If you're playing with AI at all, every single AI tool basically manages their support using Discord, and it came out of the gaming industry, but it's a very collaborative support system. We're building out some tools right now for permissions and some other things, but next year we'll be rolling that out. But you can join our international Discord server right now if you choose to, and if somebody wants to put it in the text chat, the link, you can jump in and 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 join our Discord server. Uh, this is a big one. So this was a number of years ago, and this was back in 2010, 2011. One of the biggest objections that we would get is we need an office. And of course, we're cloud-based, and we've stayed true to our roots. We've grown the largest real estate brokerage in the world based on that. However, we said, how do we solve this need for an office? And we approached Regis, and Regis is pretty much ubiquitous around the world for providing co-working and office space. And just a few months ago, and I didn't realize this, but uh, previous leadership didn't pursue this, but we had not extended the benefits of Regis around the world. I thought they were. As soon as I found out, we jumped on it. And as an eXp agent, you can use any Regis anywhere in the world. And if you think about it, where does it make more sense to work out of? One, home office makes a ton of sense. You don't have to waste the time going back and forth the office, and the office tends to not add much value to your business. But wouldn't it make sense if you do want to work somewhere to work around other entrepreneurs, professionals, and people who potentially could buy or sell homes and become recognized as the expert real estate professional that happens to work out of that co-working space? So you can use any of the co-working lounges around the world. Obviously, if you're in a major city and there's one that's close to where you operate as an agent, um, I encourage you to go and use those co-working lounges and show up, 2 or 3 days a week for an hour or two a day. You're going to do the work anyway, following up on leads and doing other things. But as people recognize that you're in the business, you're going to pick up some transactions just from working out of the Regis lounges. And then if you want to use that as a place to meet clients, you can actually rent at a discount private conference rooms or private offices as well for those one-off meetings that you need. We talked about agent owned, but we'll jump into that here in a minute. We've got a luxury division that's growing very quickly around the world, and so there's a lot of cool stuff going on there. Obviously we've got support for you as an agent in the back end. We've got eXpCon. We just did this in Miami a couple 3 weeks ago. We did a little mic drop. I'm not sure I like that image, but it's there. And and then of course the revenue share and the equity model. A lot of people, we sort of saving this for last, but this is one of the reasons why agents get excited about eXp. One, we've got the competitive cap and split model. We've got the tools and the technologies. We've got the collaboration. But what has sort of powered this through is the ability to attract agents to eXp as you are growing your business. And so we call this revenue share 2.0, but basically the idea is that as you attract agents into eXp, and if you're an active, productive agent in your marketplace and you're a good person, then people are going to want to come and work with you. And so that's the basics of it. Obviously, you may pursue them. I call it's just lunch. Take a real estate agent to lunch. It, you don't even need to bring up eXp. They'll eventually ask you about it. And when they do, you can just walk them through, this, what we're doing here. But then they can sort of learn about it from your perspective, having been a real estate professional with eXp for some period of time as well. But the reality is that you earn a percentage of the commission generated by an agent up until that agent caps each year, and that payout actually goes up 7 levels through what looks like a network marketing style comp plan. We have an icon program that is pretty amazing, which basically means that once you've paid your cap in, and then you do another 20, effectively plus or minus 20 full real estate transactions. There's a small transaction fee that's associated with each closing. But once you've done an additional 20 transactions, then you can earn an icon award where you actually earn the $13,000 or $20,000 worth of stock back in the form of an equity award to you as an agent. So it's a really great program. We've had agents that, because of that, have found out, after a number of years, that they've had, tens of thousands, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equity in EXPI stock that came, that really helped them in a time of need, regardless of whether they recruited any agents to EXP or not. So equity is not dependent. In fact, we make the equity program almost exclusively, well, it is exclusively based on productivity in the model. Obviously, if you're a modern company, you need to be supporting diversity. We've got our own internal charity. We just raised a bunch of money for a number of different natural disasters that took place around the world over the last while. But we've got an internal charitable arm that's really around helping agents in their time of need. A lot of community engagement and other things. So, really, the next thing is really just, if you like what you heard, obviously you've got myself, Felix, a number of people on the international team. You've got your in-country leadership, but we want to do a few things today. This is our first international eXp Explained. We want to help build the right type of we'll call it funnel, for lack of a better term, funnel to help you understand eXp, get you plugged in to a particular country that you're interested in joining, and then ultimately help you be super successful. One thing that I don't think is on this deck is a program that we've got that we're rolling out on December 1st. And that program is our international sponsorship program. So we're only a few days away from that. But what that basically means is if you're attracting an agent in a country that you're not active in, and you don't understand how the business is done in that country, you can take advantage of our international sponsorship program, where we'll actually work with you and a local agent in that market to help support an agent that you're attracting into that country. And so this is the basis of a really cool international, we'll call it a co-sponsorship program, where you can partner with agents around the world to actually attract agents in market. So really excited about this program. There's a lot of other stuff that we didn't cover today. We went about 45 minutes so far. What I would encourage you to do is, one, stick around, ask a few questions here, but then feel free to come over to the exp.world/international office to have some more conversations. So with that, why don't we jump in? Why don't we open up the microphones or the chats, and any questions? And Felix, any other comments?
No, I think you covered it all. I think new markets is probably a hot topic, so I'm sure I'll leave it up for you guys to ask some questions. But if you didn't catch, we announced Turkey, Peru, and Egypt, and I think Glenn might have said something like 20 countries somewhere, and I think he was half kidding, but who knows for next year. So we're definitely working on some other countries as well. So I'd love to hear from you guys. Any thoughts, feedback, any questions? Of course, I'm always available in our international HQ as well.
And Katie, are you able to unmute everybody?
There you go.
Okay. Anybody's got any questions they want to just ask away?
Hi, my name is Rashid Syed. I'm currently in India, although I am from Toronto, Canada. I was going to ask, I went on the website for Home Hunter and they have an extension, Home Hunter Global. So I added the extension to my Chrome, but I don't know, how do I log in using my passport?
Great question. Do you, let's see. Yeah, so just, do we have anybody in here that knows that one? Rashid, why don't you send me a note on Workplace, and I'll make sure that I get that answered for you.
Alrighty, for sure, Glenn. Thank you.
Awesome.
I know the answer.
Oh, Kathy, go for it.
I asked about it myself the other day because I really wanted to be able to do it. And I am in the States and wanted to be able to see properties in our global partners. And I was told that it is only for the global partners at this time. The United States and I believe Canada as well cannot use it just yet, but everybody else in the other countries can. But it's coming.
All right, sounds good. That answers my question. So that's something that's in the works, and it's still okay. Thank you.
Yeah, but you can certainly use the tool as from a consumer perspective right away. So that you can.
Okay.
I see a question in the chat from a guest. I just joined eXp Commercial and do business in Asia globally. Are there plans to expand in the Philippines where I already do business? Thanks. Guest, if you jump into, if you're not a part of eXp, jump into our international headquarters after this. I think Katie might have linked it. If not, we'll continue to link at exp.world/international. And we can chat a little bit about that. If you have partners or know people in country in the Philippines or in any country that eXp currently isn't at, who you think could be interested in helping us launch eXp in that country, I would love to learn a little bit more about them, maybe share with you guys some more stuff about our model and have those conversations. But I have heard Philippines once or twice, so. And I think Katie she just linked exprealty.international/countries where you can go and nominate a new country and it'll come in and we'll follow up with you as well. If you guys think of a new country or you know somebody in that country, is really what we're shooting for this nominate. Any other questions?
I have a question, if that's okay.
For sure. Hey, Michael.
Hi, Glenn. It's Michael McGee in Dubai. I've been with eXp for about 2.5, 3 months. Absolutely love it. What having founded eXp, what would you think is the most critical factor for entrepreneurs to focus on when building their own brand under the eXp umbrella?
Yeah, so one, I think you mentioned brand. I don't know that there's one best way to do it. You have to do your own personal SWOT analysis, but assuming that you've done that, for me, what I see is that the agents that are getting the most traction market share wise are building strong social presences. So they've got their YouTube, their Instagram, their X channels, all of those social media pieces, and they've got it in their country. One thing that I hear, and this tends to be from the non-social media marketing folks, is that that's not the way it works in our country. But then we find that there's There's a group of agents that are just taking market share left and right by doing that, even though it's a smaller subset maybe of consumers that are there. It's still fairly untapped in terms of building personal brands. So I would think, how you're using social is probably a big component of it, and then figuring out, what else you want, where else you want to stand out in building that brand.
Amazing. Thank you.
What are questions we have?
Hi, I do have a question. My name is Janine Ehrentraut, and I am attracting an agent in Mexico City, and I'm really interested in that co-sponsorship program.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's literally on the verge of launching. Are you connected to any eXp agents that you have a good relationship with in Mexico City yet?
Yes, Fabian Villa, we have actually jumped on a Zoom with my agent, and we're connecting him to two other brokers there, mentors there that he can chat with because he wanted to chat with someone local there. So I am connected well. So I just want to see how that co-sponsorship would look like when he wants
Yeah,
to join.
so if in that case, what would end up happening is when the agent joins or looks to join, they would um, in relation to you, you would add the co-sponsor, and there's some paperwork that we're just in the process of finalizing right now, but you would actually list the co-sponsor, and then it'd basically be a three-way sponsorship agreement instead of just the agent naming the sponsor. It'd be naming the sponsor and the co-sponsor. That would be the local in-country agent. The in-country agent would, um, after being named, would also need to go through a little bit of a certification if they wanted to be named as a second um, uh, co-sponsor to somebody else. But basically, we want to make sure that they're covering off everything that's needed for the in-country agent to support them. And then the other piece that we're doing, and this is just so everybody knows, if a co-sponsor in country it drops the ball and isn't supporting that agent that they've been named co-sponsor on, then there is the possibility of the sponsored agent basically getting a different co-sponsor to support them in market. But in most cases, that probably isn't an issue, especially if you've got a good working relationship and there's a good sort of relationship between the three of you. But that's how it's going to work, and so we'll have paperwork coming out, I think, next week.
Wonderful. Thank you. That's fantastic.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
We do.
Oh, great. Hello, Glenn. I'm Felix. First time getting in. I'm actually been signed up for an eXp commercial, do a lot of commercial land investment development here in California, SoCal, and Vegas. And I'm actually doing a lot of business the last 20 years in the Philippines. And it's funny you said about the Regis, because I was looking to go back this time around. I go there 3-4 times a year, set up an office. So it's great to hear that, oh, I don't have to really sign a contract there. I'm just going to use the Regis in these major cities where I'm doing business. So how can I guess, help out or take the lead to open the Philippines? Because I'm already hard at work there, and that market is booming right now in Asia.
Yeah. So what I would do is join our international Discord server. We've got a channel for the Philippines, and then what we want to do is we want to aggregate enough demand in a country to make sure that it's successful. So that means, aggregating enough agents based on production and other things that effectively have signed an LOI, even if obviously confidential and off the radar, but we've got enough agents that it warrants the investment. The Philippines is unique because of their ownership of real estate brokerage is not straightforward. we have to jump through a number of we'll call it licensing hoops to actually open up the Philippines, which is part of the reasons why we're not there yet. But if we had aggregated demand, then we would certainly look at opening up the Philippines.
Thank you.
Have a
Hi, Margot.
Margot here. Hi, Glenn. Hey, guys. I just wanted to check something with you. So a little while ago on the eXp South Africa side, they announced that they encourage agents to appoint a successor for their revenue share position. So the rewards that they've earned can continue to provide for their loved ones. So now my question is, I've joined under my mother, Delisha, when I joined eXp. So I get that you can nominate a successor in terms of like a family member, but can she basically also nominate me because I'm already in eXp? So just sort of, am I making sense to like?
Yep, no, for sure. Yeah, she can certainly nominate you. There's not it ultimately, let's say that she did, pass, which obviously nobody gets out of this life for free.
Sure.
But if she did, then you would just say, okay, I'm going to continue to build my rev share group under this position, but any of the benefits that rolled up to her would continue to would then roll up to you as well. But you would basically sort of declare this is the position I'm building off of, which in all likelihood would be where you're already building. But you might say, no, I'm gonna support her organization more specifically, and there may be some reasons why you would do that. But you would just have to make that sort of election at that point, and we would work with you on solving for that.
Okay, thank you very much, because we're not planning on going anywhere soon. So we love eXp.
Okay.
Thanks.
Awesome.
And just a heads up, I saw a couple questions that came in Spanish. I'm happy to answer all Spanish questions, and I linked our eXp World where you can come check me out afterwards or come meet up with me afterwards, and I'm happy to answer questions in Spanish. We also have a couple of our CALA or Latin American country leaders and our Spain country leader who will be around, can help answer questions as well in Spanish.
Okay, well, I think we're coming up on the top of the hour. So for those of you who are up for a field trip, come over to eXp World /International. I'm going to be just jumping into my office over there, but I don't have any scheduled meetings, so feel free to grab me. And I don't know what you've got going on, Felix, but we can just figure out what we're doing next.
Let's see if we can get this many people in our international headquarters.
Excellent. Good stuff. Okay, thanks everyone.
Thank you, everyone.